Hello, and welcome to a lightning round basement briefing. We're going to hit a hot topic, which is what happens when these emergencies end. We're going to cover three important points about the end of the emergencies. But first, some background. Everybody understands that the COVID situation is an emergency, right? But emergency is a technical term. And in fact, for our Medicaid purposes, it's two technical terms. We have two things going on right now. We have a public health emergency, which was declared by HHS Secretary Azar on January 31st. And we also have a national emergency, which is different, which was declared by President Trump on March 13th, a month and a half later. All of February. Wow. Odd, right? Wow. Inexplicable. So the important point is we actually have two emergencies going on, and we have a scenario where either one of them could end or both of them could end. And what does that mean for Medicaid right now? And so we're going to cover three major considerations. Number one, it would mean that 1135s end. Right? What are we talking about? Section 1135 is an authority that HHS has been using to approve waivers or exceptions to normal Medicaid policies to allow states some extra flexibility to do things during the crisis. Right now, 48 states, according to our friends at Kaiser Family Foundation, 48 states are using this 1135 authority and DC. Only Ohio and Wisconsin, for you trivia buffs, do not have an 1135 right now. So, if you're not familiar with 1135 and you don't know how we think HHS is actually underusing that authority, you can check out a previous video we have on that topic and learn a lot more. The key point you need to know right now is that in order to do these 1135s, there needs to be a simultaneous public health emergency and national emergency. So, if either one of those ends, the 1135s stop functioning. So, if your state is doing something good using that 1135 authority, right, like reducing use of prior authorization during the emergency, then that would end if either one of those two emergencies end, and you might want to have a continuity plan for how you're going to continue to do those things. Second point, some COVID-related spas would also end. So first of all, COVID-related spa sounds like the worst idea ever, right? But you Medicaid wonks know we're talking about state plan amendments. So why would a state plan amendment end when the emergencies end? Well, this is a tricky one. CMS is using Section 1135, that same section we just talked about, to approve a lot of the spas. Why? Because very understandably, for good reasons, they want to start some of these spas earlier than the current quarter. What happens is the normal rules only allow a state to start a spa from the first date of the quarter where they requested it. And of course, that would mean today, that would be April 1st, and understandably, some states want to go back to when the epidemic started, so more of a January, February timeframe, and of course, they're using 1135 to do that. But what that means is that, again, as we said, 1135 requires both emergencies to be in place, the national emergency and the public health emergency, so if either of the emergencies stop working, then that spa, which is piggybacking off of 1135, would also cease to be approved. So you also need to start thinking about how you transition anything good your state is doing through a spa to a permanent spa, right? Which is kind of ridiculous since right now we only have about a dozen states with an approved spa to deal with COVID. And so many of you are actually waiting for your state's spa to be approved. And I'm already telling you got to think about how you transition off of it. I realize that's kind of nuts, but what I hope you see is that this is something you may have to deal with soon, and you could be thinking now as a takeaway, hey, maybe we should be checking, does our state really need to use 1135 to do this spa? Or could we just do a normal spa, right? And the advantage of doing a normal spa is now your state controls the timeline. It doesn't stop when the emergencies stop. Third and final point, the Families First FMAP boost might go away. Might. Why might? So let's break this down. Section 6008 of the Families First COVID Response Act is the one that allows states to get matching, enhanced Medicaid matching funds, a boost during the emergency. However, unlike 1135, which, right, depends on having both emergencies in place and ends when either emergency ends, as we just covered, under 6008, it's only linked to the public health emergency, that AZAR declared on January 31st. The national emergency is actually irrelevant. So the reason that's important is if President Trump rescinded the national emergency, the FMAP boost wouldn't go away as long as the public health emergency remained in place. So obviously from your state's point of view, you certainly don't want that public health emergency to end anytime soon because you want to keep getting that enhanced Medicaid match. So our summary is we have two emergencies, right? National health emergency, public health emergency. If either one of them ends, 1135's end, so we need to plan for that. If either one of them ends, spas that are based on 1135's would also end, so you need to plan for that. Maybe get around that by not even having your spas be linked to 1135. And if the public health emergency ends, that's when your FMAP boost would end. And unfortunately, there's no plan around that, right? That's just legislation that's authorizing it. So I know it feels early right now as we're stuck in our basements to be talking about when the emergency ends. But right, we just have to point out that our president didn't think we had a national emergency in February and the first half of March. So I can't really guarantee you that he's going to think we have one in May or June or July. So I think you just want to be thinking about this, and it's best to be prepared. So thank you for watching. Appreciate all the work you're doing. We'll get through this, people. Bye-bye.